thing. Now, we talked about Daniel before, who he was. Daniel, of course, was a prophet, and he was in captivity. And here he's making a prophecy. First he made a prophecy for Jesus, which we went before this. Now he's going to prophesy the date for the coming of Baha'u'llah. And we'll start with the 13th verse.
Of what?
Of the 8th chapter of Daniel. Start with the 13th verse.
Then I heard a holy one speaking, and another holy one said to the one that spoke, For how long is the vision concerning the continual burnt offering, the transgression that makes desolate?
Okay, here's your transgression that makes desolate that Jesus was talking about in Matthew. See? So we're in the right place.
And the giving over of the sanctuary and the host to be trampled underfoot.
Well, he's also talking about the sanctuary. See? In other words, he's talking about the abomination of desolation, or the desolated sacrilege, and the sanctuary, which Jesus says, turn to the chapter of Daniel where it talks about that for the date. So read on, and the next verse gives the date.
And he said to him, For 200 and 300 evenings and mornings, then the sanctuary will be restored to its rightful state.
Okay, for 2,300 evenings and mornings, then the sanctuary shall be restored to its rightful place. In the 43rd chapter of Ezekiel, we read that about the temple. Ezekiel was a high priest, and he was concerned about the reestablishment of the temple. And he tells us that the reestablishment of the temple will be the Bab and Baha'u'llah. We'll get into that more when we get into the Great Pyramid. But what we have here is the sanctuary being restored to its rightful place. When Nebuchadnezzar took him into captivity, he took the Ark of the Covenant out of the Holy of Holies and brought it to Babylon, where it became lost. After they rebuilt the temple and the sanctuary, they had no Ark of the Covenant be put into the Holy of Holies. So they wanted to know when this is all going to be perfected and the sanctuary is going to be rededicated. And they told him to go to Daniel, and Daniel says 2,300 mornings and evenings, or 2,300 days. And as each day is as a year, these are 2,300 years. And this is from the same date of the abomination of desolation, which was when the order of Artaxerxes to restore and rebuild the city, which is in 457 BC that we had for Jesus. So, Joe, will you get up there and will you put the 2,300 years? 2,300 years. And you subtract from it, there are 456 years from 457 BC to the birth. And subtract 456. We did the same with Jesus. Why not subtract that? Put it. Okay, thank you, Joe. Now here is the date. And this is the date that they asked Jesus, when is the sanctuary going to be cleansed? Or restored to its rightful state? The way that a sanctuary is cleansed is with the blood of sheep and goats. But Jesus cleansed the sanctuary in heaven not with blood of sheep and goats, and this is in the book of Hebrews, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th chapter, but with his own blood. He cleaned the sanctuary in heaven. But now we're talking about, Jesus told us to pray for the kingdom of God on earth as it is in heaven. And here we're talking about the cleansing of the sanctuary here on the earth. And it gives us the date of 1844. And this is the date that the Bab, the forerunner of Baha'u'llah, started the calendar, which the Baha'is use today, the Baha'i calendar. Starts in 1844. And the Bab made his proclamation on May 23rd, 1844. But he starts the calendar on March the 21st of 1844. And back in Ezra, it says that King Artaxerxes gave the order to Ezra for the rebuilding of the city. It was on March the 21st It was the first day of the first month. And as their calendar started with the vernal equinox, which is March the 21st, therefore the first day of the first month is March the 21st in our calendar. So on March the 21st, 1844 is the starting of the Baha'i calendar, and it's just exactly 2,300 years from the order to restore and rebuild Jerusalem by Artaxerxes. All right, now the Bab purified the sanctuary because the Bab was 6 years later, he was killed the same as Jesus was. He was shot with 750 bullets by the clergy class. That's like the clergy class was behind Jesus' execution. And not only that, but 10,000 of his followers was martyred with him to cleanse the sanctuary. And I'll turn to the chapter of Jude in the Bible here. And Enoch, also the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000 of his saints, to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them, all of their ungodly deeds, which they have ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches, which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. And the Bab had 10,000 followers, and they were martyred down to practically the last man. They were killed in the most inhumane manner. They were split apart. They drilled holes in their chest and put lighted candles in it. They nailed horseshoes to their feet and put rings in their nose and paraded them through the streets naked and things of this nature. 10,000 were thus martyred in Iran. Well, you people know how fanatical the Iranians are, what they did with our hostages. They haven't improved much since that time. These were the most fanatical people in the world, similar to the time of, even worse than the time when Jesus came. And here, the Bab and 10,000 of his martyrs cleansed the sanctuary with their blood. Okay? And they did this in order that this holy revelation from God would be purified and established in the world. But today the people are in the depths of paganism and following Satan, and their leader is seated on the throne of Nimrod, or Satan, wearing the fish hat and so forth. So you can't expect much difference, not much from these people. And this is why there's going to be this great calamity, why we're going to have World War III. So let us get back here to the prophecy of the Bab. It gave the date of 1844, and the Bab cleansed the sanctuary with his blood and started the Baha'i calendar. Now we're going to go to the 12th chapter of Daniel. And this is a very, very important chapter. And of course a lot of Christians read it, but the poor Christians are under the delusion of Satan. How could they understand anything?